Baking with Ginger. Join me today. Today I'm going to show you how to carve a cake and crumb coat, or dirty ice, as the cake boss says. I'm carving a rounded cake, so I'll show you how I do that. So what you're going to need for this preparation is a long serrated knife, a bowl for catching scraps, a cake turntable, offset spatulas, and a bench scraper. And maybe a knife or two or whatever else you'd think you might need. I'm going to be doing a 6-inch devil's food cake with chocolate Swiss buttercream. It's about 5 inches tall. So let's get started. You're also going to need, that is Swiss meringue buttercream. That's for the outside. So what I'm going to start doing is rounding this off. Now, you can use something, as in something you could cut out, like a circular shape like this, that you could use as a guide and just kind of like put it up to it. But I'm just going to eyeball it because I'm dangerous like that. So I know it's going to be rounded. So I'm going to just these are going actually in the pot. So I'm definitely looking for this middle part to be the top part, the topmost part. So I should start there, but I'm dangerous, but I'm a little bit cautious because I don't have that a guide marker. I also want to point out that this is a frozen cake. It was in the freezer overnight. It's much easier to cut or carve a really cold cake. And you want to save your scraps because if you cut too much off accidentally, you can make kind of a cake ball paste out of this with the icing and kind of patch your way back to normal. And I'm kind of going in at the bottom here too because I want it to look rounded. You kind of give that illusion of it being rounded. Is it hot in here, folks, or is it just me? Don't worry about some of these gaps here. Like, here's a gap. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a gap here, and you can just fill that in later with buttercream. So just do the best you can. If you wanted this to be really perfect, you could get a mold, and then, or bake it in a bowl. The buttercream has been in the fridge all last night, so you have to whip it back into shape for it to be usable. I also put the cake back in the freezer so that it could harden back up. So this is not yet ready, so I will be back when it is. Okay, all whipped back up. It is light and fluffy. So good to go. I don't like how this is yellowish looking. It is actually more of a like pure white color. But that's the lighting situation that I have right now. I'm gonna be wearing gloves to do this. Okay, so I have my little chilled ball. Normally I would not use my hands, but since it's a kind of an odd shape, I'm gonna just go for it. So just gonna crumb coat this. This is actually really easy if your cake is really cold, because it kind of solidifies and it just makes it become like a glue, or it's like it becomes like plaster of Paris, and then you can kind of just slather it on. Might look like a lot, but if you want it to look nice, people always complain. Well, and I've always complained too before I started doing cakes. People put too much frosting on the cake, it's just gross. It's like, yeah, if you're eating like a shitty like grocery store cake, not all grocery store cakes are shitty, but if you're eating a grocery store cake, then yes, they put way too much frosting on it because it's just not necessary. But if you're making a custom cake, the reason you put so much frosting on is so you can shape it into whatever it is supposed to be shaped into. Even a regular old cylindrical cake needs to have a lot, because you need to fill in all the gaps, it needs to look pretty. This is why, and I haven't so far, but this is why people charge a lot for custom cakes, because it takes a long time. This ain't no walk in the park, people. Okay. Now this is just a first layer, so I'm gonna try to make it look as decent as possible, but I want it to get a little harder so I can fill in some of these gaps. Okay, we're ready to put this back in the freezer. So this has been in the freezer for a little while. I'm gonna do the second coat. Okay, back in the freezer. Okay, so it's been in the freezer for a little while longer. Now I'm going to use this kind of a tool. It's kind of flexible. I'm not sure if this is even the best tool for this job, but now I'm going to try to smooth some of these excess bumps. You're going to want to do this because when you put the fondant on, it needs to be really smooth. It's like I'm giving a bald guy a shave. So that looks alright. Doesn't have to be perfect. Not going on to any award show or anything, so I'm gonna put this in the fridge overnight so that it can get back to its semi-warmer temperature for when I cover it, because it needs to be, if it's frozen, it'll just make the fondant sweat. So into the fridge it goes overnight.